Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm excited to bring to you this new book of Saint Therese of Lisieux, which according to Brother Pascal has some never before seen photos in it. I saw it at the Shrine of St. Anthony bookstore and I was so excited. It was a lovely picture, it really kind of drew me in. And somebody had told me recently I needed to be reading more Therese of Lisieux, which is kind of funny because I've been trying to. And this says Saint Therese of Lisieux. Oh, I've been trying to, but I haven't really been connecting with her on some aspects. So here's what's on the back of the book, what drew me in. It says Saint Therese of Lisieux, Living on Love. Saint Therese of Lisieux is one of the most popular modern saints in the world, but the details of her life and spirituality are still not widely known and are somewhat of a mystery even to her devoted followers. With over 150 stunning photographs, in-depth text, and plentiful sidebars on history, geography, and themes, this gorgeous work helps us enter into the universe of the greatest saint of modern times, that's in quotes, to discover the simplicity yet depth of her daily life and relationships, both human and spiritual. It invites us to a personal encounter with Therese, who once wrote, "I am your sister, your friend, and I will always watch over you." It's that quote that drew me in, friends. You know, I'm enchanted right now with the idea of, okay, poor choice of words, just really pondering the thought of little sister. And here is Therese writing, "I am your sister, your friend, I will always watch over you." It invites us also to discover her appealing and rich spirituality of the little way. Patroness of missions, doctor of the church, and this Carmelite sister who died at only 24 has not ceased to surprise us and to spread her powerful message of love and trust across the world. Her whole life can be encapsulated in her poem, Living on Love. I've never heard of this poem, which is a passionate love of Christ lived out in the everyday, in the joys and trials of life, in the inner and outer sufferings. Living on Love is a spiritual program for life, but to live it requires a special grace for which we must ask. That's another theme that's been coming up in my spiritual direction, is relying on grace and asking for grace, for which we must ask, especially through the intercession of the little flower of Jesus. This unique, very beautiful and moving work will inspire our readers to desire to imitate Saint Therese in living on love. If you didn't realize that she is the little flower, and yet the flower of Fatima, if you watch the book review. So I was really pairing these together. Look, I don't know. I'm getting something going on there. It's just interesting. The book was written by Father Didier Marie Goulet, OCD, chaplain of Lisieux. He's a member of the Order of Descaled Carmelites. He is co-commissioner of the exposition Therese of Lisieux, Burning with Love, which travels across France and throughout the world. He contributed to the building of St. Therese Memorial of the Carmel of Lisieux and at the Cloister of Mercy in the Basilica of St. Therese. No, this book was a little bit more than books I normally review, which, because I actually bought this one. It was $35. But a second Pascal could not help, even though he'd already seen it, he's been there and he could not help thumbing through the pages. It's just so lovely. I know people are always saying I should rig the camera up above. Here, let me do. I'm going to flip through this on the microphone cord. I just need a second. Hi. Oh wait, I'll have to do it like this. I won't even be able to see it. This is kind of goofy. Okay. Table of contents. Here we're into the pictures. You can see it's a different book than we normally have, right? And some full page spreads. Here are some of the side sections. They're telling you about some of the pictures you've seen before. Some you certainly have not. Just going to keep flipping through and then we'll get back to it. I'll try and hold up the book at appropriate times for you. I hope you enjoy that. I don't know, people have been asking me, but it's a little difficult. I don't have the full studio. Like, this is just me making these videos on my cell phone with a little mic, with an adapter. It's not as easy as you think, friends. If it was, everybody would be doing it. So let's go into this. We have just some plain end pages and then just St. Therese of Lisieux, Living on Love, which is, again, if this is her famous poem, I've never heard of it. If they had put this picture on the cover instead. I probably would not have been drawn in. That's a little more jarring to me than this one. So that one drew me in, although they are probably both based off this photograph. That's very funny. And the book is translated by Anne England Nash. It's by Ignatius Press in San Francisco. The original French edition was Saint Therese de Lisieux, Février des Amours, 2018, by Les Éditions de Cerf, Paris. I don't speak French at all. I'm just making that up. I apologize for that. Quotations from the works of Saint Therese of Lisieux and Edith Stein are taken from the editions published by the Institute of Carmelite Studies, Washington, D.C., and have been reprinted by permission. Specific information on these volumes is given in the table of abbreviations located in the back of the book. The cover art, that lovely painting, was by Ricardo Macron, and yes, based on a photograph from the archives of Carmel of Lisieux. Yes to that. Cover design by Blue T / Les Editions de Cerf. And the book was by 2021 Ignatius Press, San Francisco. Printed in Canada. And it doesn't give us their website. To my Carmelite brothers, Victor Sion, Emmanuel Renault, Gay Gaucher, who have been able to make the face and message of Saint Therese shine forth. There's a little note about the front piece painting. This one that I wasn't as fond of, but there's an explanation of it. It's by Perrette Lambert. Saint Therese of Lisieux affirms, I am your sister and your friend. Forever I'll watch over you. RP 1 12V PL 86. The discreet white cross on the left proclaimed one of Therese's deepest desires, loving Jesus and making him loved. LT 218 GC 2055. I don't know what all those numbers are, but I think we're going to need them from the table of abbreviations. It was done with a lot of collaborations. Gotta skip that. The contents. Well, this is different. You did hear that the layout was different. The table of contents have a picture, the page number, and then what it's about. Lots of these are quotes. They're not done in italics. They're just done in quotes, and dates underneath. So like 16 says, such a beautiful family, gives you the place and a time. 58 has the affection with which I was surrounded at. It gives you a place and a time. Interesting that the chapters aren't numbered. You just get page numbers, and interesting. And that's it. That's the whole table of contents that you saw right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. There's eight little chapters. And this one starts out. There's another lovely painting. So there's a painting on this side. You can see all these little notes, these little sidebars here. Very interesting style. Now, I can't read the little thing on the little scrap of paper, but I'm imagining it's supposed to look like she had written it. It's almost a graph paper. Not quite. Let's see if it tells us. The big painting was Therese at the harp. Okay. The face of the cross offered to Saint Therese. So there's a picture of the face of the crucifix that was offered to Therese by her sister Leonie. And then the little note that she included something about that. Okay. For quotations from Therese, with respect to the original, we've omitted a good number of capital letters, but we have kept the underlining italics. In the list of abbreviations, the reader will find our principal sources. Those that are not referenced come from the archives of the Lisieux Carmel. We have not thought it necessary to indicate them so as to preserve the simple and pleasant dimension of a family album for this work. It's supposed to look like a family photo album. That explains so much. So we're going to have to go to the back. I want to look at the things at the back that don't fit those. There are a number of features back here, but they didn't tell you about them. So here we are. Aha! Back here. Oh, they're not numbered anymore. Oh, no, page 3. That's awkward. The page numbers are on the side of the page. This is the page number here. This is where it is in the book. Look, I can find another spot. That's where the page numbers are. Awkward, but I guess they really wanted you to feel like you're in a family photo album, so they really didn't want to emphasize the page numbers. So you may want to bookmark if you're reading this book. There is a big chronological table with dates, what was going on in the world, what was going on at the church in Lisieux, Carmel, what was going on with Therese and her family, and what was going on in culture. So it might be a book that was written. And so they are color coded so that you can figure them out and see them very easily. Very interesting. Color coded by column, by topic, not by year. Oh my goodness. And we start in 1829, and there are several pages of this. Very surprised. And then there is a general index. It tells you that place names have been italicized. The names of various places within each city have not been included. If needed, the names of countries other than France have been placed in parentheses. The names occurring in the family tree and final chronology are not listed in the index. Interesting. So I'll give you a little sample of that. So there is an index. So the place names are italicized, the people's names are not. Okay. The general index is 1, 2, 3, 4 sides of pages. And then we have two sides of pages, so one page front and back basically, but these are facing each other, are a list of the sidebars, and they're done by topic. So the red sidebars are introducing works by Therese. The geographical sidebars, there are sidebars about people, historical sidebars, sidebars of the saints, so other saints, thematic sidebars, which could be on prayer, the imitation of Christ, the work, the trial of faith, path of apostolic grace. There's one on Theresian Institutes, Therese, Doctor of the Church. Then it says the most beautiful pages. What does that mean? Page 15. What does that mean? So the first one is 15. Again, remembering that the page number is about where you would put your thumb to flip the pages in the book. I don't know. So the most beautiful pages, the poem, Living on Love, appears on page 15. Details of my family are on 21. I don't know why it says that they are the most beautiful pages. Interesting. I'm not sure where they've come up with that. The poem is written out. There's 15 stanzas. So it's just written out for you. The next one has some photographs and things. I'm not sure what it means, the most beautiful pages. They're the ones perhaps that the author wants to highlight. I don't know. 290. I mean, they don't stand out. There's not one particular style for them or anything. I don't know. That is very interesting because those aren't really a sidebar. That is an entire page, the most beautiful pages. Very interesting. The abbreviations are back here on page 316. So like CDL is a call to a deeper love. The family correspondence of the parents of St. Therese of the Child Jesus, 1863 to 1885, translated by blah, blah, blah. So it gives you the citation. There's a number of them here. They're listed in alphabetical order. I mean, there's quite a lot. There's a book on the poetry of St. Therese. What? I knew nothing of her having poetry before I got this book. Okay, before I opened this book today, it's been several. It's been torture. Just talks about the little way and nothing else, and the little way only got me at times for me to identify with her, and so that wasn't getting me very far. But you know, different people have different aspects and multifaceted of their life. So this is a different side of Therese. And then there's a list of the illustrations and credits are all given on the very last page, number 318. And it's done by category. So it's like Carmel of Lisieux, and it lists all the times that you see the Carmel of Lisieux, the Carmel of Harissa, the Carmel of Cologne, the Provence, de Paris, des Carmes du Chat. I don't know why I'm trying. They're listed. There's one that's from iStock Photos. That's kind of awesome. Sorry, just kind of funny. There's all these like fancy French names, and then I stuck. What do you want to read? I feel like we should read a tiny bit of her poem. What do you think? Just a tiny bit. Living on Love. Father Maurice Belair received this poem through Mother Marie de Gonzague. He wrote to Therese on January 31st, 1897. You had Jesus in your heart when you were composing this canticle of love. ... In it one breeze and a divine breath, making one pure and strong. Continues. Yes, sister, let us live by love. This is the means of finding happiness on earth. I feel like I've been gypped. I haven't heard of this before. Okay, let me see here. I feel like I need to properly read this. On the evening of love, speaking without parable, Jesus said, if anyone wishes to love me, all his life let him keep my word. My Father and I will come to visit him, and we will make his heart our dwelling. Coming to him, we shall love him always. We want him to remain filled with peace in our love. Living on love is holding you yourself, uncreated word, word of my God. Ah, divine Jesus, you know that I love you. The spirit of love sets me aflame with his fire. In loving you, I attract the Father. My weak heart holds him forever. O Trinity, you are prisoner of my love. Living on love is living on your life. Glorious King, delight of the elect, you live for me, hidden in a host. I want to hide myself for you, O Jesus. Lovers must have solitude, a heart-to-heart, lasting night and day. Just one glance of yours makes my beatitude. I live on love. Living on love is not setting up one's tent at the top of Tabor. It's climbing Calvary with Jesus. It's looking at the cross as a treasure. In heaven, I'm to live on joy. Then trials will have fled forever. But in exile and suffering, I want to live on love. There are 15 stanzas of this, friends. 15 stanzas. You're going to want to dive in here. How lovely. Should we look at any other sections? We probably should. Oh my goodness. How fun. The sisters all out here making the hay, as they say. Some fun photos to really enter into the life of Carmel. And oddly, the painting on the opposite page is Therese plunged into the fire of love, a painting. Very contrasting, very much drawing you in. Very lovely. Very lovely. Let's read this on page 231. This is under the photo of the sisters making hay. This fire of love which devoured her, and which is very perceptible in this long poem, ignited other sparks. Quote, this year, June 9th, the Feast of the Holy Trinity, I received the grace to understand more than ever before how much Jesus desires to be loved. On leaving Mass, she brought along her sister Genevieve and asked Mother Agnes for permission for both of them to offer themselves to merciful love. The authorization was given automatically. That Sunday, Therese wrote her act of oblation to the merciful love. On Tuesday, June 11th, kneeling before the statue of the Virgin Mary in Therese's front cell, the two sisters made that offering together while reading the text written by Therese. She asked Mother Agnes to have her text checked, and that way she could propose it to others, notably to her sister Marie of the Sacred Heart, and then to Sister Marie Agnes of the Holy Face. On Friday, June 14th, while she was in choir, an event occurred that she would relate to Mother Agnes on her sickbed. I was beginning the way of the cross. Suddenly, I was seized with such a violent love for God that I can't explain it except for saying that it felt as if I were totally plunged in fire. Oh, what fire and what sweetness at one and the same time. I was on fire with love, and I felt that 1 minute more, 1 second more, I wouldn't be able to sustain the ardor without dying. I understood then what the saints were saying about these states with which they experienced so often. As for me, I experienced it only once, and for one single instant, falling back immediately to my habitual state of dryness. There would be a before and an after for her. You permitted me, dear mother, to offer myself in this way to God, and you know the rivers, or rather the oceans of graces that flooded my soul. Ah, since that happy day, it seems to me that love penetrates and surrounds me, that at each moment this merciful love renews me, purifying my soul and leaving no trace of sin within it. Friends, I do want to tell you there were citations marked throughout that, but I just needed, I needed to read that to you. The next section begins, I am not dying, I am entering into life. From the act of oblation to merciful love to her Easter. friends, why do you not have this book yet? And they go into, like, over here on page 249, Father Adolphe Roland. He was born in October 1870. He considers vocation as a priest and as a missionary. He joined the seminary. He embarked for China. What? He was one of the witnesses at the ordinary and apostolic processes for the beatification of Therese. He participated in the beatification, then in the canonization of Therese, and died on June 12th, 1934. Very interesting. I like when it goes, there's another section in here on him that says, brother and sister in spirit. Therese received 8 letters from Father Roland. She addressed 7 to him, one of which has disappeared. She enclosed 11 poems and an extract of the play Joan of Arc. Prayer of Joan of Arc in her prison. The title Reverend Father of the first letter becomes already in the second brother, a form of address that remains in the 6 letters that Therese addressed to him. The letters exchanged were often very long missives, sharing as much about the ordinary life as about the depth of their spiritual lives. He would be a faithful disciple of his little sister and would preach in her honor. How lovely, friends. His picture just drew me in. I didn't know that they would take us to the point of the little sister in that little bit there. How lovely, friends. And I will bring to you the story I've heard from the Franciscan friars of the renewal. There were some novices who were asked to study her, and they could not relate to her. They said they were manly men. How could they relate to this dainty little flower? And there's a story that was relayed to them, a letter her mother had written. She was having difficulty with this little monkey that was going to try her. And the story that ensues is quite hilarious about Saint Therese, the little monkey. And that is what made a connection for me with her. And I see that coming through even more now, knowing the little sister aspect, and how she did that. I'm so enchanted by her now. I'm going to have to get into this book, especially since I spent so much money on it. This is definitely something I need to go and do. Wait, how happy I would be to be able to paint. Such random quotes in here that really do draw you in. You can see that. This one has many little sidebars and pictures. What are they all about? So the painting, there are people playing an eccentric journey. I don't know. Maybe it's a little play, or maybe it's a little game they did when they were little. I don't know. There was Celine in 1889, taken by Father Louis Eugene Gombauld. The image of Christ Jesus knocking on the door that is the cell of Therese. It recalls the words from the book of Revelation. I stand at the door and knock. Oh, that's a little picture down here. There's a little quote from her: to receive holiness. He has made me understand that my own glory would not be evident to the eyes of mortals, that it would be consistent becoming a great saint. This desire could certainly appear daring if one were to consider how weak and imperfect I was, and how often, and how, after 7 years in religious life, I am still weak and imperfect. I always feel, however, the same bold confidence of becoming a great saint, because I don't count on my merits, since I have none, but I trust in him who is virtue and holiness. God alone, content with my weak efforts, will raise me to himself and make me a saint, clothing me in his infinite merit. What a lovely, lovely thought. As a little sister who loved to emulate her big brothers and looked up to them, I feel that. Yeah, and so, Christ Jesus is the ultimate big brother who's really going to help us out and lift us up higher and higher. So, Saint Therese of Lisieux, Living on Love. What a lovely book, friends. May God bless you through this book. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord bless you. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.